We can select the VRM button for Vendor Relationship Management. According to Wikipedia, it is a concept that was developed in a conversation between Mike Vizard, Gilmore Gang, and Doc Searles, a fellow at Harvard University. A menu comes up with items I hope to fit with Doc Searles' Project VRM definition. These principles are: 1. Customers must enter relationships with vendors as independent actors. 2. Customers must be points of integration for their own data. 3. Customers must have control of the data they generate and gather. This means they must be able to share data selectively and voluntarily. 4. Customers must be able to assert their own terms of engagement. 5. Customers must be free to express their demands and intentions outside of any one company's control. When I click the first button titled Bookmark Triples / Save Cache, I get several additional buttons with different options including Save Query Result as RDF file, Save Sparkle Query Input, Save Query Output to Linked Data Platform Container or Collection, and List Saved Items. Clicking Save Query Result as RDF file saves the directed graphs as a collection of triples using the RDF schema. This will save on a local file system or standard web server with no additional complexity. Clicking Save Sparkle Query Input saves the Sparkle syntax that was the input to the Sparkle endpoint in text format. Clicking Save Query to LDP Container or Collection allows one to choose to save the query results as a resource in a linked data platform container, or save the query results in a collection of RDF resources. Clicking List Saved Items gives a list of all things saved previously. Clicking on Federate Graphs brings up a menu that allows one to merge two or more RDF graphs. Here I have two RDF graphs in the File menu, graph_a.rdf and graph_b.rdf. After clicking Load Files, I now have the two graphs loaded. I can select the checkbox, Apply al: same as links for equivalent URIs, and click Federate to perform the action in the checkbox. We can check Apply Algorithm in Edit: NLP / to bring up the Edit Triples panel, which gives us a list of algorithms. Shown here are Christian Beezer et al.'s Active GenLink and Catherine Dentler et al.'s Reasoning by Swarm Intelligence. I can click Start to execute the highlighted algorithm, Active GenLink. Please note that in addition, that Federate can apply to any loaded file. So I could, for example, compare the skills of two people, or how my own skills apply to a particular project by loading the respective graphs. Clicking Load Badge brings up the Loading Badges window. These badges, based on Mozilla's Open Badges, are a record of a particular skill or accomplishment. On the right is a badge assertion in JSON-LD showing a record of a particular accomplishment. This was inspired by Nate Otto's work with JSON-LD for the Badge Alliance. Clicking Load File will load the file as a directed graph by default, and Save File will save any changes made with Edit Triples. Clicking Load Profile / Groups brings up all linked data platform containers, personal profiles in parentheses, such as faux profiles in parentheses, and collections of resources. Clicking Load File will load the file as a directed graph by default. The button Add to PDS or Personal Data Store will save the file to personal and local storage in parentheses, or perhaps a trusted location in parentheses. The NL Query button will search for additional files locally. Clicking the Access Control button brings up the Access Control menu. On the left side is a menu that is modeled off of the paper by Hollenbach et al. Titled Using RDF Metadata to Enable Access Control on the Social Semantic Web. R, W, and C come from the Access Control ontology. R is for ACL:"read, W is for ACL:"write, and C is for ACL:"control. To the right of R is a column for agent. This lists all agents, each which have permissions set by checkboxes in the R, W, and C columns that have access to the highlighted file on the right. In this case, bshambot.org /fov.rdf £me and example.org /person /fov.rdf £me both have read in parentheses R and write in parentheses W access to the resource example.org /projects /car_project. In addition, bshambot.org /fov.rdf £me also has control access to example.org /projects /car_project, which means that it has the authority to change any access control permissions for any agent through the checkboxes or otherwise by changing the access control file for example.org /projects /car_project. We can also add agents that have access to example.org /projects /car_project or any other item selected in the right pane by clicking the Add Agent button. We can also perform a natural language query to find additional agents to add with the NLQ for Agent button. Clicking Save Changes saves any modifications to the checkboxes and thus access control file for the selected item. On the right, the NL button allows more items to be found, ideally locally and on the web. The Add to PDS button allows the saving of a copy of any item found through an NL query or loaded through the Load File button. The listed items are all items in the PDS. Additional information is also available in Andrei Vlad's Sunraz dissertation. Access control can also be based on rules. See, for example, SWRL swirl, semantic web rule language, and more complex RIF rule interchange format. References describing both swirl and RIF, their comparison, as well as their use for access control are provided at the end of the video. Clicking the Transact button allows one to search for and load wallets, use them, and view information pertaining to them. In this case, we have a Bitmark wallet based off of Bitcoin with the URI http:// example.bitmark.com /user /person #persona. For this, we can show related link data for the wallet URI with the Show LD on the right checkbox using the Web Payments Community Group Web Commerce 1.0 specification. With link data, we can show transaction history for a particular wallet. This is all PaySwarm receipts for this wallet. We can also click on an asset in the display directed graph to show all the related asset info, parentheses like we saw with the Ripple purchase in another video, in parentheses. We can also purchase the asset, which is at a URI, or click the Negotiate /barter button to see if we can come up with a better price or trade something that we have. This Negotiate /barter button should be integrated with something like Simba so that the seller can be contacted. In addition, the Balance button shows the amount of funds in the wallet. The Find Wallet button shows other wallets to be found that are authorized by the agent using EISPP, and Load Wallet allows a wallet to be loaded. I click the Load Wallet button to load the wallet. I select the :wheel_of_car node. If I click Show Asset Info, I get a JSON-LD representation for the :wheel_of_car asset, like example 1 is section 4.1 in the Web Commerce 1.0 specification. When I press Powder Preferences, I get a menu for Powder or Protocol for Web Description Resources, which is a W3C recommendation. The name of the resource, resources, or regular expression matching the resources are highlighted at the top left of the window. The name of the Powder document referring to this resources, is below on the left, and the contents of the Powder document are on the right. In this case, I have the example.org /projects/car_projects resource selected, which if you remember is really a linked data platform container. Then what I am really referring to is a collection of resources or a single resource in a container. I'm not sure whether it is correct to call example.org /projects/car_projects a resource for Powder, although it might be safe to treat it that way. The NL query button allows me to search for additional resources. The load file button allows me to load additional resources, or a Powder file, perhaps a template that I wish to apply to a given resource. And save as allows me to save changes to the file if I am authorized to do so. Perhaps it might be useful to provide a functionality like a pull request from GET to the Save As button, so even if I am not authorized, I can submit my changes to someone who is. The Apply to Access Control checkbox applies the Powder document to a grouping of resources described by Powder. I can load a profile template with the Load File button. I can make changes to the template with the Add Tag button. The Add Tag button provides a visual way to edit the profile document. When I click on it, I get a menu which is oriented as a tree, like the XML structure of Powder. I select the Issued tag, which is embedded in the attribution in Powder tags. I can type in the date and time in the Issued tag with computer-assisted completion. References include 1. Project VRM, Wiki, modified 13 October 2014, http://cyber.law.harvard.edu /project VRM /main_page. 2. Manus Borni, editor, WebCommerce 1.0, product offers and digital receipts for the web, draft community group specification, 10 April 2014, https://web-payments.org /specs/source /web-commerce/. 3. Nate Auto, we're adapting open badges to JSON-LB, https://list.w3.org /archives/public/public-link-json /2014 OCT /0021.html. 4. Open badges, http://openbadges.org. 5. Badge Alliance, http://www.badgealliance.org. 6. James Hollenbach et al. Using RDF metadata to enable access control on the social semantic web. 7. Basic Access Control Ontology, http://www.w3.org /ns/auth/ACL. 8. Andre Vlad Sombra, Data Ownership and Interoperability in a Decentralized Social Web. Dissertation, Telecom Sud Paris et l'Université Pierre et Marie Curie, November 19, 2013. 9. Protocol for Web Description Resources, (Powder), Working Group, Phil Archer, 2009, 1124, http://www.w3.org /2007 /powder/. 10. Phil Archer et al., W3C Protocol for Web Description Resources, (Powder, Web Description Resources, (WDR, Vocabulary, W3C Working Draft, 25 September 2007. 11. SWRL, a semantic web rule language combining OWL and RuleML, W3C member submission, 21 May 2004, http://www.w3.org /submission/SWRL /. 12. DISA BML, more peleg, using owl and swirl to represent and reason with situation-based access control policies. Data and Knowledge Engineering, 2011, Volume 70, Issue 6, June 2011, pages 596 through 615. 13. RIF Overview, 2nd edition, W through C, Working Group, Note 5, February 2013, HTTP www.w3.org /tr/RIF overview / 14 policy base transaction authorization and access control W through C RIF WG wiki HTTP www.w3.org /2005 /rules /wg /wiki /policy base _transaction _authorization _and _access control.html. 15. RIF FAQ W3C Wiki, February 4th, 2013. HTTP www.w3.org /2005 /rules /wiki /RIF _FAQ pound how _does _riff _differ _from _swirl .3f